Good morning, children, and welcome back to your chemistry class. Today, we shall start with a new chapter, that is General Principles and the Process of Isolation of Metals. Basically, this chapter is based on metallurgy. So, we know that metals, they occur in nature both in the free and in the combined state. The compounds of metals which are naturally available in the earth's crust can be obtained by mining, but the minerals from which a metal has to be extracted economically, they are termed as ores, right? So what are ores? Ores are actually the minerals from which we can obtain the metal cheaply, profitably, right, and easily. They are what are they termed as? They are termed as ores. Now I'm going to use certain terms that we need to first understand, and then I shall proceed. Then next, after ores, I also would like to define over here what are minerals, and then let us see the difference between ores and minerals. So what are minerals? They are naturally occurring chemical substances, right, in the earth's crust, obtainable by mining. Whereas ores, these are the minerals from which we can obtain the metal economically, right? And if I use the word economically, I mean over here the metal that is obtained cheaply, profitably, easily. They are termed as what? Ores, right? Then an ore, it is usually contaminated with earthly or undesired materials. So what are those called as? They are called as gangue, right? Then the substance which is added to the ore to remove this gangue, right, or to convert the ore into non-fusible gangue to the fusible compound, what is that called as? That is called as flux. And then the fusible compound that is formed by the combination of this flux and the gangue, what is that termed as? That is called as slag. So these are some terms that you have already done before. Now, talking about what do we mean by this word metallurgy. Now it must be very clear to you what we are going to study over here about the extraction of the metal. So the entire scientific and technological process used for isolation of the metals, right, from its ore, it is termed as what? Metallurgy. Thus, we can say the extraction and isolation of these metals from the ores, it is called as metallurgy, right? And this is conducted in the following three major steps. So what are those three major steps? Firstly, the concentration, or we can say by dressing of the ore, right? Second step is what? Conversion of concentrated ore, this ore, into oxide form, into oxide state, right? Do remember, we cannot obtain metal till it does not get till the ore does not get converted to its oxide state, right? And the third important point is production of metal can be done by reduction process, okay, right? Or we can also say what? This can be also termed as smelting. What is it called as? Smelting. And lastly, you know that after this, though we obtain the metal over here in this process, but the metal obtained here is maybe 99.5% pure. So whatever 0.5 impurity is left behind, that is to be obtained, that is the pure metal can be only and only obtained by the fourth method, that is the purification purification and refining of metals. Refining of metals. So these are first, second, third most important. Firstly, what? That the concentration or dressing of the ore has to be done. That ore has to be then converted to oxide, and that oxide is then to be reduced or smelted. Here we obtain the metal, but this metal again contains 0.5 to 0.2% impurity, which can be further purified or refined by the fourth step. Is this point very clear? So in this chapter we shall study of the metallurgy and also the extraction of the metals. So now before we move to the concentration or the dressing of the ore, we need to look at some of the important ores which you need to remember, right? So some important ores are like, talk for aluminium. So for aluminium, you already know it is bauxite. Formula is Al2O3.2H2O, right? Then another one for iron. Iron could be like hematite. Formula is Fe2O3. Then more of iron ores we know, that is magnetite. It is Fe3O4, right? Then you also must be knowing iron pyrites, that is Fes2. Then we move ahead with some copper ores. Copper ores could be, the first example, copper pyrites. Copper pyrite formula is CuFeS2. Then another ore of copper is cuprite. Okay, that is Cu2O. Then you have copper glance. Copper glance, it is Cu2S, right? Then let's talk about some zinc ores. Zinc ores like zincite is there. Formula of zincite is ZnO. Then calamine is there. Calamine is your ZnCO3, right? Then we have zinc blende. Zinc blende is ZnS. So these were some of the ores of zinc. Let's talk about some of the ores of silver, like for example argentite. Formula is what? Ag2S. Lead, if you remember, galena, PbS. So some of these are the ores that we need to remember. Now we move to the first step of your metallurgy, that is concentration or dressing of the ore. Okay, so let us begin with the concentration of the ore. But before concentration, remember, pulverization of the ore takes place. That is, the ore has to be beaten into small pieces, right? That is called as pulverization. After pulverization, we move to concentration of the ore. So to separate the gangue and other heavy rocky impurities from the metal ore, we go ahead with the method of concentration of the ore, right? So there are different methods for different types of ores. For example, we have hydraulic washing, or which is also termed as gravity separation method, right? Over here, when the ore particles, they are heavier than the gangue particles, then we use this method, that is hydraulic washing or gravity separation. So in other words, what we can say over here, that hydraulic washing is completely based on the difference in their specific gravity, right? Specific gravity of the ore and the gangue particles, and therefore this is termed as gravity separation. Basically, this kind of concentration is done for the oxide ores. Okay, basically this is for oxide ores, right? Then we move to the second one, that is your magnetic separation. So as the word suggests, the ore particles should get attracted by the magnet, then they are going to be separated by magnetic separation method. Over here it is completely based on the difference in the magnetic properties of the ore and the gangue. Clear? So it is used if either the ore or the gangue has to be magnetic in nature. So definitely all the metals which get attracted by the magnet, they can be used for this by this method. Then third one we come across is your flotation method. What is flotation method? This is generally used for your sulfide ores, right? So over here the ores, they are wetted with the oil and the gangue particles, they are left behind in the water. So actually the ore and the water, it is taken in a large tank, and the frothing agent, that is pine oil or eucalyptus oil, is added to it, and even the collector increases the binding force between the ore particles and the froth, and some activators also added over here. So these reagents, they help in activating or suppressing the flotation property. Clear? So they are agitated by the current of air and the froth will be formed, and this is generally used for which kind of ores? That is the sulfide ores. Thus, what can we talk about froth flotation? This is a method used to concentrate the sulfide ores. It is based on the fact that the mineral particles, they become wet by, what did I tell you? Oil, pine oil or eucalyptus oil, while the gangue particles, they are left behind in the water. And in this process, the powdered ore, it is mixed with the water containing, what did I tell you? Collectors and activators. What is the collector used over here? It is ethyl xanthate. And what is the work of this collector? It increases the binding force between the ore particle and the froth. And what is the work of the activator over here? This reagent, it just activates the flotation property. It either activates or suppresses the flotation property. Clear? So next, D1, we come to the chemical method. What is the chemical method? Generally, the chemicals are used in this method for separating the gangue from the ore, and generally this method is called as what? Leaching, right? Example, alumina from bauxite. If you remember that there we use NaOH, right? Impurities like your sand, iron oxide, titanium oxide, how are they removed? They are removed by adding concentrated NaOH, right? So this is the method called as leaching. We now come to the second method, that was what? Conversion of your concentrated ore to its oxide form, right? So this can be done by two methods. What are they? Either by calcination process or by the roasting process, right? Now what is calcination? This takes place in the absence of air, right? Where the moisture can be removed, the volatile impurities are removed and the ore becomes porous over here. And this is basically done with the hydroxide ores or the carbonate ore. They can be calcinated, right? And then roasting, that is in the presence of air. So over here in the presence of air, what happens? The volatile impurities are removed and the ore becomes porous and more reactive. And over here mainly sulfide ores are used for roasting, because sulfide ores, they are converted to the oxide state. Over here in calcination, what happens? The carbonate ores, if you use, right, for example, let me tell you, for calcination, no, let me first talk about roasting, then I'll talk about calcination. So in roasting, like for example, as I told you, it requires air. So all the sulfide ores, that is, if I take FeS2 plus oxygen, right? So what is FeS2? If you remember, iron pyrite, right? When treated with oxygen, it will give us FeO plus SO2, right? Then Cu2S. What is Cu2S? Copper glance. When treated with oxygen, it will give you Cu2O plus SO2. So this is clear. PbS galena, when treated with oxygen, it will give you PbO plus SO2. Or ZnS, zinc blende, when treated with oxygen, will give you ZnO plus SO2. Right? This is yellow when hot and white when cold. So what did we study in roasting? The sulfide ores in the presence of air, the moisture is removed, they become volatile, impurities are removed, they become porous, and thus they are converted to their oxide state. Clear? Now I'm going to talk about calcination. So what did I say? In the absence of air. Absence of air means that the ores like carbonate ores or hydroxide ores, they can all be calcinated. Okay, so let's take for example, let me write down over here for this CaCO3. What is it going to give you? It is going to give you CaO plus CO2. So it has carbonate ore has been converted to oxide state. It is also used for your hydrated ores, like for example Fe2O3.3H2O. So on heating, it will give you Fe2O3 plus 3H2O. So you got it into the oxide state. So generally for the carbonates and the hydrated ores, the method for calcination is used, and for the sulfide ores, it is roasting that is used. Clear? Now, both the methods, they are carried out where? In the reverberatory furnace, and over here the ore is heated below the melting points. We next move to the third step, that is your reduction of the oxidized ore into the free metal. Okay, so this can be done by two methods. What are those two methods? First is your chemical reduction, and the second one is your electrolytic reduction. Clear? So let us begin with the first method, that is your chemical reduction. Now, what do we mean by chemical reduction? Various reducing agents like your carbon monoxide, hydrogen, right? Even your sodium, aluminium, all these are used to reduce the metallic oxides to your metals. Like for example, your zinc oxide, it can get reduced to zinc by using only carbon as its reducing agent. So always remember, if you remember your activity series, right? So over here, potassium, sodium, calcium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead, and henceforth till copper, then silver, mercury, silver, gold and all. So from potassium to aluminium, they all undergo electrolytic reduction. Okay, they all undergo electrolytic reduction. Do remember this. Then from zinc to copper, they all undergo chemical reduction. Followed. And all this mercury, silver, gold, they simply on decomposition, they give the metals, right? So I'm first talking about this zinc. This one I'll teach you later. I'm talking about this middle group, that is the chemical reduction. So I told you this chemical reduction can be done with some of the reducing agents. What are those some of the reducing agents? Like carbon, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, sodium and aluminium. Out of all these metals, this zinc preferably, the zinc oxide, its oxide, it can be converted to metal only and only by the coke or the carbon, and it will form zinc plus carbon monoxide. Clear? So this point is very clear. Over here, carbon only or coke only is used as a reducing agent. This zinc oxide cannot be reduced by carbon monoxide, hydrogen or any other reducing agents. Rest all of them from iron, lead, copper, they all can be reduced with any of your reducing agents. So let's take for example Fe2O3 can be treated with carbon to give us Fe plus CO2. Okay, if you balance this, we will get 2, this becomes 4, this is 3, then this becomes 3 carbonate. Then let's talk about Fe2O3 can be treated with H2. It will give you Fe plus H2O, right? Similarly, PbO, I'm talking about this lead, can be treated with carbon to give you Pb plus CO. Then this PbO plus can be treated with carbon monoxide also, and this is going to give you Pb plus CO2. Then this lead monoxide can be treated with H2 also. It will give us lead plus water and so on. So in the metallurgy of chromium or manganese, reducing agents can be like your sodium, aluminium, hydrogen, they can be used. Which one did I say? For chromium and for manganese. You can use any of these like sodium, you can use aluminium, you can use hydrogen, you can use as a reducing agent. Okay. Self-reduction or auto-reduction takes place in the metallurgies of lead, copper, etc. Okay. I hope this point is very clear. So I have discussed with this point. Now let us talk about electrolytic reduction. So as I told you, certain metals, that is from potassium to aluminium, they all undergo what? Electrolytic reduction. That is, by the process of electrolysis only, they convert into metallic oxides to their metal forms. Okay, they convert metallic oxides to their metal forms. Now talking about the third step, that is smelting. What is it? The process of extracting the metal by heating the metal oxide with either carbon monoxide or aluminium. It is just like the chemical reduction process. So over here, if you remember, aluminium is used for thermite welding. Do you remember that? So we can say that over there aluminium is used. Aluminium is used in thermite welding because aluminium is a very good reducing agent. Similarly, we can say ZNO can be treated with carbon to form zinc and carbon monoxide, right? So these are some of the different methods for smelting. What is pyrometallurgy and what is hydrometallurgy? Pyrometallurgy, the process of extraction of the metal by heating the metal oxides with any suitable reducing agents, right? It is called as what? This is called as pyrometallurgy, right? But the process of extraction of metal by dissolving the ore in a suitable reagent followed by its precipitation, right, to obtain the metal, it is called as hydrometallurgy. So mercury, silver, gold, they show hydrometallurgy, and from zinc to copper we see pyrometallurgy. Electrometallurgy we see from potassium to aluminium, right? Last but not the least, for the reduction of oxide of metals, remember the reducing agents like we studied carbon, carbon monoxide, or even some metals like aluminium, they are used, right? So thermodynamic factors, they help us in choosing the suitable reducing agents for the reduction of any particular metal oxide to the particular metal. And this thermodynamic principles of metallurgy we shall study in the next video. So thank you for today.